the weekend. It's Mailbag. I am joined this week, I am glad to say, by Adam Sutton and Dave Downey. It's been a while, lads. But before we go into the Mailbag, I just need to know where you are on the Moshiriometer, which is the replacement for the Rafograph. So basically, if you're 10 on the Moshiri monitor, you better use Bezzy Mate. If you're 1, you call him Moshitty. So, did anyone hear that on the space the other night, by the way?
Yeah. Unbelievable. I'm like, if it wasn't for Bramley Moore, I'd be Moshitty, I think. Probably say 2. I'd probably say 1.9. He doesn't deserve a 2. It's just like it's just unbelievable. One of the most incompetent billionaires you'll ever meet. Yeah. If that is an oxymoron, I don't know.
But he can clearly build the fuck out of a stadium or plan one at least. That's fine.
I said the other day in like the lads chat, like how can you be so successful and so stupid?
Yeah.
Is it just a big game? It has to be a big game.
Well, to be fair to the man, you know, he's not been involved in football much, has he? But you know, it's literally like just somebody's given a football club for Christmas, and the lads become obsessed with it and hasn't got a fucking clue how to do it. You know, if you look at Arsenal fans, will tell you about that as well. When he was there, that you know, Kroenke, who owns them now, didn't want to have anything to do with the football inside of it. So my rating would be a generous 1. And the generous 1 probably is that I think we might well have been relegated by now if he hadn't come in. But the way in which he's managing the club, I say managing, the way in which he owns our club, I think it feels inevitable to me that that's going to happen at some point. The way this fella's insisting on running things, the way he's deciding to do things the way he wants to do them, and doesn't seem to have any idea or any thought towards getting this football club sorted in the way it needs to be to stay in the league. Because we could all look at the Premier League table as much as we wanted and say, you know, we're still a few points clear, we'll be sound, we only need 4 or 5, because I think about 34 points will keep you up. But if he persists how he is, it's only going to get worse, and that's all we've seen. It's got worse. Every single year has become worse. I think maybe you take aside the Ancelotti management away from that, which, you know, obviously starts to look a little bit brighter. We've got the win at Anfield, but other than that, this fella just hasn't got a clue. And we can see why he sacked Brands. Whatever you think of Brands, I wasn't a big fan of Brands at all. But the fact he got rid of a director of football shows you every single reason why we are struggling, because this fella insists on making these things up himself. Ran by Jan Jaroobchian as well. Kia Jaroobchian, sorry. I don't know what agenda that fella's got, just wants to make some money and help out people who decide to be a client of his. So yeah, I think one's a generous. I'm gonna deduct that 1. I'm gonna go to a 0. I'm going down to a 0. I think that gotta be a Mailbag first. Deducting it within 90 seconds.
Even Benitez didn't hit a 0 on the Rafograph.
Oh, he did. He did.
Do you know what? The Rafograph had gone up in flames before we even got to that point.
Yeah.
Ended off long before it got that bad. Yeah, just on that day, just what you're saying, like we get relegated anyway. In that alternate universe, Roberto Martinez never got sacked. Lukaku left and we went down the next season. That's probably what would have happened.
Well, yeah, that's it, mate. Sadly, I think it does feel inevitable. I think people, you know, many of our listeners will be saying, "Oh, David, he'll never get that bad. You're just taking it too far." But there's nothing that man does. And what Adam mentioned about Bramley Moore, I view that as like a different, separate entity on its own. To what's going on.
It's bought some time, though, hasn't it?
I think it's bought some time. Where Adam's correct, I think, is, you know, if you take away, if you could be even worse, which, you know, might well be possible because we yet to see what comes after this, aren't we? But if we go further down in terms of the way in which he runs the football club, the one thing that remains will be Bramley Moore. Of course, the irony there would be if we do go down, it wouldn't be the Bramley Moore that we've all been shown lovely pictures of, would it? it'd look completely different. and that's before, you know, that's before it probably falls into the Mersey.
Bring out the Kirby
climate change has still got to be had yet, mate. And I know that'll come in at Everton. There's no danger about that.
Oh, God, yeah. Be lucky if we get 100 years out of that ground anyway.
Yeah.
Just on this, I'll just launch into a question quickly on this. Mark Allison asked, how will Barry Grant deal with Moshiri and Kia Jaroobchian? A quiet word or direct action? I don't know if anyone's seen, have you seen Dear Mr. Hicks by now?
Which?
Dear Mr. Hicks.
Who's Mr. Hicks? I'm a big fan of Brookside, but I don't know what you're on about.
No. So do you remember the Dear Mr. Hicks video that all the top Reds did, where they all got together?
Oh yeah.
In the background. Barry Grant's on that.
He is, isn't he, as well? Yeah.
Everyone else is in the studio doing it. Being Barry Grant, he's on a yacht somewhere in a shirt and a pair of boot cuts and just screams, "Give Liverpool our club back now," or something dead aggressively.
I still think Barry Grant, like, is there. He's like in real life now. Do you know what's the name of the fellow who plays him?
Oh, I'll have a look now.
Whoever it is, the fellow who plays him, I think he took it that far that he kept on being Barry Grant in real life after Brookie finished. That's why he was in some sort of container in the middle of the sea near Norway or something like that as Barry Grant. I'd like to think that's the case anyway. But mate, Barry Grant, it was hilarious, that video, wasn't it? Where they all get on it, it's just like, it's time to go. It's time to go. You just get someone else with a pair of sunglasses. I'm just shaking their head. It was just hilarious, that video.
It's the way they wrote in Pete Price and
just leave.
Amazing. If anyone hasn't watched that, by the way, it is the greatest thing on YouTube, and I would definitely recommend you go and watch it. Just put in Dear Mr. Hicks.
Yeah. But to answer the question, I think Barry would end up driving limos for a living, and he'd end up having Farhad in the back of one of those limos, driving down to Bramley Moor at like a midnight, and, you know, turn all the lights off in the car and all that, and just put a balaclava on his face up in the back of the car with Farhad, put it to his face and say, "Listen, mate, it's time to go. You either choose to get out the car and walk away, or just walk into the river, or I'm just going to end it all." I reckon that's how Barry had sorted out for us. I'd have him as CEO, me, Barry. He got things done. He earned a lot of money, and he looked after Claire Sweeney.
There you go. What a fella. I do kind of think, though, if he sort of did that with the limo and maybe put Farhad in the boot and was going to roll him into the Mersey, because it's Everton, he'd try and roll him in Bramley Moor Dock after it's been filled and then just roll into the middle of this.
Yeah, or like we're about to play our first game in Bramley Moor, and there was a discovery that his body was underneath the sand on the base of Bramley Moor. He had to knock it all down, and it never got built.
This definitely happened to Goodison, didn't it? Something like this. The monkeys got buried in the new ground.
Are they going to do one of those things, you think, at Goodison? You know, the time capsule, they normally do that sort of thing, don't they? Or they do it at the new place. I remember.
Yeah. They must have done one at Goodison at some point.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did one at the Millennium Dome and dug it up by mistake, didn't they?
That's right, yeah, they did do that, yeah. It seems like a popular thing to have done when they've, you know, built new grounds and buildings and all that. We'll have to have that as a question some other time. What would you have in the time capsule at Bramley Moor?
That's a belt. I'll put that in for next week. Paul Usher was the actor's name. Adam's Barry Grant.
Don't have a clue who he is.
Oh, Adam, you've missed out, you know, mate. You know, like, the charming, good-looking lad, successful career and all that, mate. But you've missed out, I reckon, a good 10 and 15 years. 10 and 15 years into your life.
Who is he like? Who is he, though?
He's a character in Brookside.
Yeah, I'm just a massive wool, though, so, like, I never watched Brookside. That was more like Tracy Beaker or something.
Ollie Oaks. Definitely Ollie Oaks. You look like you look like character Ollie Oaks, you lads, with those actor looks you've got with that haircut now.
You know what? I never watched telly, really. Like, I don't know. I think it was probably like, I don't know, early years of like game consoles and that, which probably took loads of my time. But anything soap, whatever they're called, soap operas, just.
Has anyone watched The Responder?
Yeah,
I haven't, but my dad was talking about it yesterday and says it's
Barry Grant would be on that, mate. If you want to know who Barry Grant is when you watch that,
Yeah.
Barry Grant to be
one of the gangsters.
One of the characters on it. I'm not going to say anything about that character because I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but you'll know what I mean when you see that something happens to a particular character. That is Barry Grant.
Just on that as well, I think Martin Freeman's accent is better than Stephen Graham's.
I think it's better than all of ours, mate. I'm the only Scouser on this at the moment, and it's better than my accent.
It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just
class.
Tim from The Office for me, though. That's just I just can't see anyone else.
You know what? He still does when he kind of does like a little kind of look. It's still Tim from The Office. You just can't.
It's just brilliant.
Did either of you see him? You talk about TV. Did you see him on Graham Norton week before last? He was sort of asked by Graham Norton about the responder and stuff like that. And I've read quite a few things, like just articles and stuff like that about it. And apparently, he's a bit of a knobhead. And I'm a bit gutted about this because I really like him. I like him as an actor, and he seems like a really nice fella. But apparently, he's a bit of a tit. Like, I don't know if you watched Josh Widdicombe. What's his name? Josh Widdicombe. He was on Graham Norton with him, the comedy fella. And Freeman was like, when he was speaking to him, it was like aggressive. He wasn't even taking the piss when he was saying stuff like, he doesn't rate what he does and all this stuff. It's quite awkward if you watch it. I don't know if anyone listens to watch it, but and then I read a piece where apparently him and Benedict Cumberbatch, obviously from Sherlock, apparently they hate each other as well. Apparently, the pair of them don't treat each other nicely and all that, and I could never imagine that being real. I don't know if you're fans of Sherlock, but it's one of my favourite things it's been on. And
Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange to me.
It's what?
Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange to me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're both in it, aren't they? Both in Marvel.
Oh, God, yeah. Freeman is as well, isn't he?
Yeah, they would have actually met as characters in that yet, will they? Just the way it is. So. I don't think they would have. Must have been close. They must have acted with each other. But yeah, apparently in real life, they don't like each other. Who knew that, eh? Because I always think, like, Benedict Cumberbatch, I really like him as an actor, but he looks like the type of actor that's that good at what they do, that they've had to sacrifice something that makes them a bellend.
Like a young child or something, or
yeah, exactly. You just can't have everything in life, can you? And I just think like he's a tit. He must be, because he's just really good at everything else. Whenever I've seen him acting, and I love loads of his films, both of them, in fact. So it was quite sad to hear that. Like, but yeah, absolutely nails the Scouse accent. Absolutely nails it. And if you watch it, it was recorded during lockdown, as you'd expect. And obviously, all the way through it, you're just looking at it in areas of the city where they do and all that. And the fellow who wrote it follows me on Twitter, because he used to do a lot of work with us at City Talk. And I'd ask him like where they are in different areas of the city if I couldn't spot it myself. And he'd tell you where it is and all that. But when you see them, outside the museum in town, where there's the car park, outside the museum, say near St. George's, that museum where there's the big stairs to get in. There's a couple of scenes on that, and it looks like it's either really early in the morning, like really bright sunshine, or like close to evening, and because there's hardly anyone around there, and like everyone's replying to me saying, well, no one would be around there because it's lockdown and all that, but town was still town during lockdown. People were still about. People still lived around there, and I was looking at it thinking, how on earth did they record this without so many people just standing around watching? Because it's really good, the scene, a violent scene as well, and it's just so well done that I was thinking, how on earth did they manage to sort of like just say to everyone, can you move to one side or something like that? Because you see the whole area around there.
Yeah, that'd be hard. They did that with 28 Days Later, didn't they?
That's right, yeah. That's
4 o'clock in the morning.
Especially like obviously there was no lockdown then, but how on earth they did some of those scenes is just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, well worth a watch though. For everyone who's listening, definitely worth a watch.
Defo. One in from John. How far away from a dirty protest is Goodison Park?
A dirty protest? How far are we going?
Well, I mean, classically, it's throwing shit at the wall, isn't it? So, which is pretty much what Everton board of directors seem to be doing with this manager search, isn't it? And just seeing what sticks.
I think we've had a dirty process, haven't we? Really. So we're there, aren't we? I'm just waiting for like Everton's version of that cop-out on the statue in Madrid or whatever it was, getting fully bollocked. I don't think we go that far, but
that fella who knocked one off.
Yeah.
In the statue. In the.
You know what, though, like, apart from, because I've said it a couple of times recently, especially like a podcast when I've been on with like Mose or Rob or whatever, but like I was getting to the point at Norwich and Brentford, I was like embarrassed to be there, like proper embarrassed to be there, like looking around at the home fans and they're going like, what are these all about?
I know your face.
It's not even like, it wasn't like a rivalry. It was like, fucking hell, they're a bit weird.
How bad are these?
Yeah. So like the protest that happened, what was it, Tuesday night?
Yeah.
It seemed to be, in the most part, the way we should be going about things. So I don't think we'll ever get to the point of wanking off outside of Dixie Dean statue. But hopefully we stick with the Everton way. But who knows, with these lot in charge, it could take many different ways to get them to listen.
We were talking about this on the weekly last night, and I think the protests away from the game are a good way to go. You're getting people down to Goodison, and they're literally just there to protest.
Yeah,
says a lot about how things are being run, doesn't it? People just got to turn up, and there's not even a game. That says something, and also it takes away the snarkiness of when there's 200 people in the lower Gladys, and people are going, "Well, that's shite. There's no one there," because you can sort of quantify easily how many people are there. It's a scale, isn't it?
There's more seats than people, isn't there?
Exactly, yeah. But if you've got 200 people outside the hot walk, basically, looks like a lot of people, and it is a good turn. So,
there's a lot of people, yeah.
Away from the ground.
I'm not... Sorry, lads. That lot, they need as much support as possible, because without it, they will absolutely fold, like, and we will go down. So Arsenal's a prime example, isn't it? And as much as people walking out on 27 minutes was, everyone had their own opinion, the atmosphere that night turned at that point and won us the game, essentially. And if that's what it takes to keep us up, then keep it separate, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, but you also look at like past sort of protests, like the Keep Everton in Our City thing now. There's a good chance we could have actually been in Kirby now. It would have been called in eventually, I'm sure, because it all wasn't above board, and that's why it got called in. But they sort of set the groundwork there, and we're like, hang on a minute, this isn't right.
It works, like, it definitely works. It does,
yeah.
As cringy as it could be at times, or as, unorganised as it might come across, it definitely works. And it's another slight on Moshiri, really, that he is so open to just going like, oh, they're not happy with that. Well, what do we do now then? There's no plan. And it takes the Evertonians to go, stop it, for them to go, oh, actually, that might not be a good idea. It's just like unbelievable, isn't it? And there'd almost be a level of respect if it was just, we're sticking to what we're doing, and this is why. It's just, it's unbelievable, isn't it? But no, if it is, hopefully, Lampard or not a few other people that have been thrown around, then Everton fans can give themselves a pat on the back, because it's been a huge overhaul, and there needs to be more of it, I think. But keeping it separate, in my opinion, is definitely the way to go.
And then spot on, mate. And I think, I do dock my hat towards everybody who's been involved in that, and got down there. And there are always going to be people who take part, who take it a little bit too far. I don't know if you've seen the video, the lads who was on someone's shoulders, vandalising Ken Wright's picture at the side of Goodison and stuff like that. We don't want to see anything like that. The things that actually get onto the news, the things that actually get international media, certainly where I work and things like that, people who are just like the football fans, and that all they want is a change for their club to actually have a chance of being successful. And that's what it needs to stick to, in my opinion. Who are any of us to tell people what to do? And who are fans of other clubs and other pundits or presenters or whatever, like a Jim White who does it all the time? Who are they to tell football fans how they would like to see their club? We all pay our money to go and watch our game. We all support this club through thick and thin, and right now it's as thin as it gets, that football club. It's just been a disgrace the way in which it's been ran by the owner. And you've got somebody on the radio saying to us, why are Everton fans so mad? Why are Everton fans so against Moshiri when he spent all that money? But well, that's fine. Spending all that money is just the one part of it. I can go and spend all my wages. Well, when I eventually earn some more when I'm back in work now, thankfully, I can go and spend my money where I like. Doesn't mean I'm going to spend it well. I might go and spend it on a couple of £100 worth of cocaine. That doesn't mean I've spent it well. And that to me seems exactly what Moshiri's done. It feels that way to me, that he's pissed it away. He's pissed all his money away. And Tony Bellew was on. I've seen it on Twitter about when he was on TalkSport saying that, you know, he's the best thing that's ever happened. I can't think of much worse things. The only thing that's different, you know, people had said, you know, I think what Tony would say about Bill Kenwright and Peter Johnson and all that, and he'd say, well, you know, he wouldn't criticise Bill, would he? Because Kenwright eventually got him what he had to Goodison with his boxing match there and stuff like that. But Peter Johnson, I think, is probably who he would go to and criticise, because obviously that's not going to get him anything worse, really, is it? That's not going to get him in trouble if he was to criticise him. So let's say he criticises him, and then he'd say to you, well, look at the shit that we got in. We nearly got relegated with Peter Johnson before Bill come in, and then Bill got us Moshiri. And he would argue, I would expect, that is why we should all appreciate Moshiri and Bill, but more so Moshiri in the case of this point that he was discussing. And then I'm like, okay, but tell me where it's not worse or just as bad as what Peter Johnson did. Peter Johnson tried to spend money at Everton, obviously in a much lesser extent than what Moshiri's doing with us now. But we're looking at a fella who's effectively destroying our football club because he's deciding that his decisions are better than anyone else we could get, who are professionals in football, people who work in football, like Brands. And I go back to what I said about him. I didn't like Brands. I didn't think he was any good. But the cloud that was in and amongst that was the fact we didn't know if he was actually doing his job or not. And if he wasn't, he's done the right thing in walking out himself. I can understand why he's walked out. And it's becoming pretty clear to me now, the more and more Moshiri does nothing in getting the right people involved and stepping back a little bit himself, the Brands deserve the chance, at least to do what he did over in Holland and all that stuff. The reason why he's good at what he does and the reason why we got him in, it's just pure, it's just a vanity thing for Moshiri at times, it looks to me as well. And so for Tony Bellew to say that, I think it's a bit of a slap in the face, or I don't know, a punch in the face if it's Tony as a boxer. Two fans saying that you don't know how good it is. This is the best thing we've ever had happen at the football club. Because I'm telling you something now, Peter Johnson didn't get us relegated. He nearly did. There could be worse to come with Farhad Moshiri, despite the fact he spent a load of money for us. So I think he needs to think a little bit more on what he said there. And take a step back and have a look at why fans are angry, why we're all angry. And it's not just a small group of people. You know, it's not just a minority. Every single fan that I know in that football club has serious issues with Moshiri. Some go as far as saying they want him out. Others go as far as saying he just needs to basically learn from this and get the right person in, step back and let somebody who knows how to do football business to do the football business stuff. That's I think 99.9% of all of our fans who don't have an agenda because I don't know they're getting a nice seat in the director's box or whatever. Because I presume that's what's happening with Tony Bellew. He's going to have really good friends who are high up at Everton when he goes to see the game. That's obvious. And good luck to him. He's a Scouser who's done well and been on the world stage as a boxer, a fighter. That's fine, but don't ridicule fans when they seem to know. Well, they do know a lot more about this football club because it hits us in the heart, it hits us in the gut, not Tony Bellew. It hits us because we're fanatics of our football club. We love our football club. Don't be the fella who tells everyone how to do it right, how to do it wrong, and who's good and who's not. Because we can all see it for ourselves, thanks, Tony. We can see how shit our club is because this fella is out of control as the owner. That's the bottom line as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, 100%. Can't add anything more to that. That like sums up perfectly. Just on Moshiri though, the way he spends money at Everton, it's like everyone spent money with Amazon in the first lockdown. You know, when we couldn't go out and everything, and we were just buying all mad shit off Amazon. That's what he's like at Everton.
There's a question for you. What's the worst thing or the funniest thing you've ever bought on Amazon during the pandemic? Mine is a bunch of lemons.
Lemons?
Yeah, we actually bought some lemons off the telly, off the internet.
I'm trying to think.
I bought a load of exercise.
Absolutely pointless shite over like the past couple of years just because I saw it on Amazon and thought that'll be sad. I got me garden like grass changed to artificial, and I bought. That wasn't the stupid thing actually because it's easy to pick up shit. But like I bought this. I went on Amazon and found like when the dog has a shit on the fucking grass, obviously it's the smell will stay, or if he has a piss or whatever. It's like pissing in the carpet, essentially. Yeah. So when it's like warm, there's a bit of a poignant smell of just dog.
Yeah. Oh, that feeling.
I bought this like I don't know what it is, like solution that you put over the artificial grass and then spray it. It just smelled like shit. So instead of smelling like shit, it smelled like poo. So the dog doesn't go anywhere near like the parts that have been like there. It's meant to be smelling like, I don't know, summer fresh passion fruit or some shite. It's not like poo. So
mate.
What about 60 quid as well?
Patented by Farhad Moshiri. That sounds like me.
Literally. Yeah. And when my bird says, "Stop doing that, you're a bell end," I wish she was on the Everton board because she could say that.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, the incompetence seems to no stop, does it? There's no fence that stops all this.
No,
and then, again, this is going back to what I was saying here about Bellew. That's what I've referred to Tony. If you stood in front of me, I'd say that to him from a safe distance. But I would say to him, Tony, read the room, mate. Have a look at why we're all kicking off here. We're not all kicking off because we've signed like a player that no one likes and things like that in the past, where why have we spent a load of money on that, or the way in which, I don't know, Moyes bought, what was his name, Caldrup, yeah. When we bought him, we were all moaning at that because that was only 5 million we had for about 10 years. Yeah, I get all that. But this is about how the football club is run. And, Tony, wake up a little bit, mate. This is the future of our club that we're looking at right now. Look at the table. Just look at the table.
This is year 5. So if you look at a 5-year plan, we should be going for the title this year.
Well, it's year 5 and about to become manager 6, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all about, for me, it's just yes men. The whole club is from top to bottom full of yes men. And unfortunately, what will happen, if the worst case scenario is they just bring another one in to be the manager, because there's loads of yes men on the board. There's probably loads of yes men around the club. And people who stand up, I agree to a certain extent, Dave, about Marcel Brands. I think he probably wasn't great because he wasn't allowed to do his job. He got some right, he got some wrong. But I think
correct, yeah.
You look at there's Luis Diaz who's about to sign for Liverpool, and he's probably trying to push that through, and someone's going, nah. And as soon as you stand up to these lot, and this Kia fellow, whoever he is, they just go, well, you're trying to go against what we want here or what we're planning. If they don't like it, you just get fucking binned. Yeah. And it's getting to the point now where they need to implement a model that is somewhat. Has my camera gone mad there?
Yeah, it's gone nuts, mate.
All right, okay.
He's probably got it himself. Farhad.
Quite enjoying it, actually.
Getting hacked. He's hacking me. Tony Berry just turned up at ours.
Yeah, don't get Barry Grant. Get Barry Grant.
In terms of just the way that we need to start, it's like anything in life. Anyone around you who just says yes, you've got to start worrying that there's probably not them wanting the best for you, but they're wanting the best for themselves, and that needs to change very quickly, because otherwise we will continue on this downward spiral, and anyone who's got any form of say in the matter can walk away, whereas Evertonians, we can't. So yeah, let me show my camera anyway.
That sort of leads me into the first hot topic as we're talking about yes men. So it is. Should we do the quiz bit? We'll do the quiz bit. If you know what this story is from, shout out the name of an Everton manager, past, present, or future. There's no present, is there? One. So, have you ever made a phone call you regret?
Oh, I don't even know what you're on about here. Phone call I regret. I mean, have I made phone calls? Well, plenty of them, mate. I think there's many of us who can all say that when we've been younger lads. Trying to court a young lady or whatever, haven't we, with their phone calls we've made.
So I'm shouting out an Everton manager here, aren't I, Les?
Yeah.
David Unsworth.
I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot about that.
What's the story?
I there's a few. You know, I'm trying to keep this as explicit. This is going out to the world, isn't it? So I'm trying to, yeah. So funny one actually. I was working in hospitality and it rang up. There was like a table that had been booked obviously a table for that evening, and it was like the name was like either a man or a woman, and I've done this so many times where like I've just got it confused, and I was calling like mate the whole time, and it was like a lady, and she came in later on, and she went, "Hiya, mate," and it was like the worst. Throughout the phone call, I was going like, "Yeah, that's fine, mate. Like I'll be there. Like, oh, cheers, lad, nice one." It wasn't too formal. She came in, and it was just like the most eat me and disappear moment ever in the world. Like, and that's probably the most non-explicit phone call I've ever done. But similar to Dave, I've had many girls saying, "Stop calling me weirdo," and like that. One of them sat upstairs now, so it can't be that bad.
That was the one you didn't want to ring back, mate, but you did.
Yeah, that was the only one that so fucked off.
Brilliant.
You lads and your sexy texting, I don't know.
I haven't done. I remember on this show I've explained a few things that go beyond 18 in this bloody podcast. But yeah, I mean the one with when you're sort of growing up. I say growing up, probably when you're about 25. No, my thing I'm going to say. But yeah, when I was in school, there was a girl who I really liked in school, and never had a chance. Really thinking back on it now, I'm thinking, what on earth were you playing at, even letting anybody know, let alone even your best mate? You wouldn't even tell that you like someone who you had absolutely zero chance with. And it's all sound now. Like, she turned out to be a bit of a dickhead. I don't know what she's up to these days, but I remember. So you know, when this is going back a long way as well for some of our younger listeners, even people who are about 30, I probably don't even remember this, but do you know when you had to get credit on your phone in school?
Yeah.
I
wasn't in school at this point, but I remember getting credit.
Oh yeah, this goes back even further. This, yeah, not as far for you, no less. But anyway, when you got like a Vodafone, and if you got a tenner's credit, you only got a fiver of it to use, because the other fiver you had to get this thing called airtime. So like, I remember going through about 40 quid's worth on one day, because my mum gave me a bank card to go and get it at the shop by ours. And I'm going back to late 90s here, lads, but no, not late 90s, early 2000s when this happened. And I just
got ringtones and everything.
Yeah, this is it. And I just thought, I don't even know why and where it came to me to do this, but it was in summer holidays. So I'll tell you when it was. It was 2002 when the World Cup was on in Korea and Japan. And I remember you get up there early to watch the games, wouldn't you? And in fact, was it? Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it was 2002.
Yeah. I remember we went into school to watch the Brazil one when we got knocked out. So we must have just gone back to school at that point, because I'll tell you a little bit extra about it. So I started like trying to ring, and she just didn't answer the phone, didn't text back. So I thought, I'm going to leave you a voice message. And how bad and how cringe can you think this is? Me saying, I'll treat it really well. Look, I've liked you for years. And I think we make a really nice couple. Mate, I'm going bright red even talking about this now on here. But then the worst thing was, like, she's obviously like showed it to all her mates and all that. And like, I'm sitting at home thinking, and remember the day before school, if you're going back to school, if you like had the detention or you hadn't done your homework, and you get that horrible feeling in your belly,
your stomach stuff.
That feeling, mate, going to school. I tried everything I could to get out of it. My mum and dad are like, "No, you're going to school, you little shit," and all this, like, because obviously I'd never dream of telling them what had happened either. And then I got in there, like, and everyone just looked at me. I tried to get in early as I could. Like, loads of them were walking early, for the breakfast, and eat the breakfast club they do and all that in school. And I'd be sitting in our school, in the room, in our classroom, and I'm looking around, and like, people are just looking at me. Couldn't look at me seriously. I couldn't look at anyone in the eye. I was looking down. I just like pretended to colour in whatever, literally whatever was there. And then some little shit who I hated, I won't give his name because I know him now, he's an alright lad, but in school he's a little bellend.
It sounds to me like he still hates him a bit, you know.
No, he's all right. He's all right.
He's all right when he was a bellend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did that thing where, you know, you get that, I don't know, that epiphany is at some point in life where you think, oh, God, I was a tosser, that's why I'm skint. If I was a nice fella, I'd be all right in life, do you know what I mean? He must have done that because he's all right now, probably got a decent job. And
Matt Jones.
yeah, no, it's Mosey. It's definitely Mosey.
He's definitely still a bellend.
The Bidston bowler. Yeah, anyway, so go back in and I'm sitting there like I'm going bright red and I'm like, I'm going home, I can't handle any of this. And as I stood up to get out the room, and this lad just blasts my message on his phone, dead loud, on the speaker, so everyone in there can hear what I was saying.
Wow.
I just ran to the toilets in school, which aren't in very good condition, as you'll know, lads, back in school. The toilets just are nowhere you want to be. No. And I just stayed in there for about half an hour, crying my eyes out. I just didn't know what to do, just did not know how this was going to finish. How could I even get back to any sort of normality? How do you get out of that? How do you do it? And in school, fortunately enough, something had always happened the next day or the same day, and like that'd be the thing that everyone spoke about. You know what I mean? Or something on the telly, or there'd be the certainly down my way, Hillside High School, there'd be police going past it or something like that, and everyone would run out and see what was going on, or someone would be having a scrap. You know the way school life was, and that did that for a couple of days for me, mate. And I swear I've never felt worse about somebody, the way they speak to me, the way I just didn't have any mates. I had nothing, mate. Honestly, I hit the ground floor. And yeah, so it was just impossible to get it back. Even though I can't even remember what happened, but someone ended up having a scrap, or we were playing footy at lunchtime, and somebody went in with a bad tackle, and like all the kids just sort of gathered in circle, and then like people, it gradually just went away a little bit. You know what I mean? But like even all the way till I ended school, which would be 3-4 years later, someone would always say at some point, "Hey, do you remember your voice message?" And that was it. It spoiled me, and yeah, it was just horrific, mate. And I never ever lived that down. So like, if we're lucky enough to have kids at some point, mate, I'll be making sure they never ever do anything like that, because that was horrendous, mate. As a school kid, just
that is one of your school horror stories, mate. You always come on with one.
Yeah, I've always got something. It is bad, isn't it? I've always got something like that, because I don't know. I wouldn't say I was the sort of the school's joker, but you know, I loved having a laugh and all that in school. I'd love coming up with jokes and all that, but when it somehow would always turn to me, I think that's why people found me funny, is because they found it was me that it was always a dickhead. Me always, that it'd fall to the shame, everything. I was always one who'd get it. So yeah, I mean, I in general, I had a really good time at school. I love school in general, but that I'll never forget. I'll always have that in my mind.
Yeah, that is brutal. That.
Yeah.
Gary H, 1985, said Newcastle away under Carlo, nailed too much pink gin during the day for some reason, called me mother-in-law at 1:30 a.m. Don't know why. I think we need to know what he said to his mother-in-law at 1:30.
Yeah, you need to end that. You need to end that story.
Yeah, Gary, we need to know what you said, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, sorry. Yeah, I just totally forgot the initial question, actually.
I know, yeah, Les, what was the actual question? I just felt to, like, embarrass myself there for no reason.
Ever made your phone call you regret?
Oh, that's it, yeah.
Vita Pereira calling up.
Of course. I thought it was going to be something with Sue Gray involved.
I hope he regrets it.
Yeah, me too, mate. But we'll remain to see that. By the time you listen to this podcast, might well have already happened, mightn't it? Hopefully.
Might well have done.
Yeah.
Have a meeting tonight, aren't they?
It's just going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Next hot topic. This is basically just based on the fact that Everton has just been an absolute rumour factory. Seems forever, but really in this last month. What's the best and worst Everton rumour you know of? So Gary H answered this one again and said the worst rumour, we were in for Shearer after he joined Newcastle with a 12 million bid. So everyone remembers that one. Alan Shearer went from Blackburn Rovers, jibbed off Man United, joined his boyhood club Newcastle for 15 million, and then Everton came out and said, yeah, we bid 12 million for him. You can't think, wonder why he never came to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go first. It's a pretty obvious one, but I remember feeling so excited about it. Riquelme, when it was like, it seemed so legit that he was on County Road. That, like, the fact that I said to you, I've just seen a player on County Road. If I said to you, I've seen Messi on County Road, that old joke everyone used to say. But this used to be like, almost like the original.
Traore was in Tesco only that time. he was in town. Someone took a picture of him.
Yeah, Which one?
Lacina Traore. I don't know. You're not going
to. Lacina, yeah. Oh, well, I'll tell you when I did see him, though, in that Ben Brazil. On Hanover Street in town. He walked in there the day before the derby, and I thought, oh, this is sound, because we all knew he was shit. I was sat there next to my mate, and he's like, oh, well, go and get his autograph. I'm like, no, he's crap. I'm not going near him. I'm not getting his autograph. And we were talking to each other, and we were like, oh, it'll be sound this, because, it was Yelovich was still with us at the time. Like, I thought, oh, yeah, he must be fit. Or someone was injured who was playing up front that we wanted to play. We didn't want Traore to play, because we all found out he was crap. After that, he played that game against Swansea where he scored that back heel on his debut, FA Cup. But that was it. That was the highest it was getting. That was his peak. And I'm standing there looking at him.
So I don't think there was a chance for him to get any better, because that was his one and only appearance, wasn't it?
I think you're right, mate. Oh no, he did play. He played. I tell you when he played away at Hull in the FA Cup as well. I think that's who we got in the next round, and we went out. But anyway, yeah, I saw him in Ben Brazil. Sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. Should have Ben Brazil. Lovely place, by the way. Yeah, the meat's amazing, stunning place to have your dinner. And he's like that, knocking back all of these steaks and all that. Lovely bits of chicken and stuff. And I'm like, the derby tomorrow, it was actually the derby. We got beat, I think 3-0 it was, while Moyes was still there.
Yeah.
I think it might be when Gerrard scored. I think that was it, yeah. And I thought, there's no way he was playing. I remember the next day, all my mates were like, yeah, that's fine, he's not playing there. If he's just pounding the bar like 500 grams of steak or something like that, and lo and behold, I saw the lineup and he's starting up front. I'm like, what's going on here? Why is this fella playing? He must have had the biggest like shit or turd. I was even able to start this game after eating that much food. And lo and behold, we got beat 3-0. I don't even think he had the kick of the ball. Did he play? He did play, didn't he? Yeah. He definitely played. But
I thought that Swansea game was his only game, but
no, he played a couple more as sub. I think and maybe the last game of the season, something like that. In fact, did he come into Moyes or was it Martinez?
Still Moyes, I think, wasn't it?
Was it just still Moyes? Moyes last year, it might have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he scored the back heel, I thought, oh, got an Andy player here, lads.
Big lad.
Decent. Oh, mate, he was like 9 for 5, wasn't he? Him?
Yeah.
Never won it.
Adam, what's your best, worst Everton rumour?
I don't know, I'm thinking of like absolute like horror stories, which is there is obviously many. It's usually around like players who we know are just coming to the end, and Everton will go ahead, we'll have you for a couple of years on 300 grand a month or a week or whatever it would be.
Gibson.
Yeah, I think there's a few that have actually, like, the rumours have come true, which has actually turned out.
Yeah, that's the bad thing. They turned out not to be rumours. That was how bad it was.
That's where I'm stuck, actually, because like most of these horror stories are real life, whereas it's very rare that we go, fucking hell, we dodged a bullet there, didn't we? What usually happens is we go, why haven't we gone in for him? Because he's just gone on to be an absolute world beater. But I'm trying to. I don't know, there's been so many. I'm trying to think of some who've like, oh, we'll get him in on the cheap and he'll just like turn out to like, and he's gone somewhere else and become like an absolute A-led that's played one game in 5. But once again, we buy those people.
They always turn up.
I did have one more there that I was going to put in while Adam's still thinking. It was when Man United signed Alan Smith. And I think almost immediately, it was a typical Bill Kenwright thing, this. I'm right in thinking this. I think did they sign him after Rooney left? He did, didn't he? Maybe the season after, was it? Or was it the season before when they got Alan Smith?
I remember.
Either way, anyway, so it come out in the paper, in the Echo, after he signed for Man United. Bill come out, or someone come out of the club with the quote, oh, Everton not only miss out on Alan Smith. And I just remember, like, people like, oh, he's going to be world class him. He's going to just bag goals after goals for Man United and stuff like that. And how close we were to sign him, because this was before, like, Bill started getting the real heavy stuff against him. So, like, everyone sort of believed him at the time that, like, we just narrowly missed out on Alan Smith. And then it turned out, like, I think they got him for like 8 million from Leeds when they got relegated or something like that.
He looked a steal at the time, didn't he?
He was what?
He looked like a steal at the time.
Yeah, oh, he did. Yeah, he was lightning quick and a striker. And ironically, I think many United fans have a good conversation about this. That he was a player that effectively the only one Sir Alex Ferguson perhaps made a little bit crap. Not maybe crap's going too far, but he put him back into it like a DM at some point, didn't he?
Yeah, he like, proper messed with him.
It was like, what's this lad doing? He was looked like a really good number 9 England striker when he was at Leeds. Looked like he was going to fly under David O'Leary. And then it happened with him, and then he had that horrendous injury. You know, he's actually, again, he's a really nice guy. But yeah, he went from like hero to zero quite quickly. And it's sort of one of them ones now you look at and think, I'm glad we didn't sign him. But at the time, the rumour, I was like, oh, I'm gutted we missed out with this lad. He was like 19-year-old kid. You know, could have been him and Rooney up front at some point. You know, when you just go off on one in your head thinking, how good Everton could have been because of one attempted play that we signed. And lucky we didn't in the end, really.
I always think with things like that, though, if he'd have come to Everton, he could have been a completely different player. So the one I always think of, Dean Ashton. He was absolutely nailed on to sign for Everton for years. And then we signed James Beattie instead. Dean Ashton, well, James Beattie's career kind of dropped off then, and Dean Ashton carried on. He went to West Ham, he was really good. Just had to retire injury because he got a bad ankle injury, I think.
Yeah, you're right. That was like a sliding door moment.
Yeah, I think if we'd signed him, he'd have been so good for us.
Basically the same player, Beattie in terms of what he did. So I remember he was getting interviewed and they asked him, what type of player would you what would you call yourself type of thing? And he said, I'm very much like James Beattie. Because Beattie was flying with it. Yeah. And he's, what did you say, sorry?
He was almost a third of the price of James Beattie as well.
We come from Crewe, didn't he? He was at Crewe for years. He's still like 24, 25. And then we decided to get Beattie for our record fee of £6 million. And then I think West Ham must have got him for just a couple of million. Yeah. And then I'd much rather have Dean. I thought Dean Ashton was brilliant. Yeah, very unfortunate what happened to him.
I've got a rumour that it's going to be hard to beat. Remember Stamp on Twitter?
Yeah.
Right. So he used to just put wind-up posts on all the time. And he said the De La Feu transfer had fallen through because Everton misread the decimal point. He thought they were going to get De La Feu for 4.3 million, but it was actually 43 million. The owner wanted. And he put this on Twitter, and there were Spanish journalists and everything who picked it up and ran with it. It was one of the best wind-ups on Twitter ever.
Mate, Chico's got a list of them now, hasn't he, as well?
He has, actually, yeah.
To be fair, Les, and I don't know whether that's the original question, but like that Luis Diaz one, I know is going to absolutely haunt us, you know. Like,
bite us in the arse, that.
It's going to be unbelievable. Like, he will go on to take them to the next level and score for years against us.
How old's that lad? He's in a young
like 23 or 24 or something.
So basically, they get rid of Mane or Salah, and he slips in there now.
Yeah, for like
that's what I thought. Then
the price he'll make on it.
Yeah, because Mane and Salah now like in the 30s, aren't they? 29, 30. This is the one that comes in straight off the line that they're just going to go out and buy. It's like when they just used to get every great striker. Yeah. They'd always end up at them.
Rush to Fowler to Owen. Piss off. Yeah. No need. Yeah. At least before that. Keegan before that. You can trace this back to the 60s, and they've done it because, weirdly, they're a very well-run football club.
Yeah.
That's simple,
as well.
Who knew that's how it worked?
I know. One that just came to my head then, quite a funny transfer rumour that thankfully didn't happen, was it was that big daft get for Sunderland who we came close to the centre half, and he had 2 good games a season against us, and everyone was chatting 40 million for him, and then they got relegated and he turned into a massive beakhead, I think, in the end, or something like that. Was that Traore? No, Kone.
Kone, that was it, yeah.
He was awful, him. He was like your Yerry Mina if he couldn't kick a ball or head it, and also was never fit.
No, but he scored against us. He scored against us in Martinez's last game.
The 3-0 one.
That was the only reason why he was rumoured to be coming to us.
You just know Boys was close to that as well, don't you?
Yeah.
But he did score against us, didn't he? Because I think it was in Martinez's last game.
Yeah, he scored against us. Yeah.
But when we went to... Well, I went over to Sunderland. We beat them 3-0. Lukaku scored a hat-trick and that lad played centre half for them. I remember saying to people around me, like, I'm so glad we didn't sign that fucking defender. So there's one we definitely escaped with there. Definitely not getting him.
Yeah, 100%. Ask us anything now. Laura's asked, has anyone ever done a group interview for a job? What was it like? How did it go? I don't think Laura's actually got a group interview coming up. I think she's picturing Pereira, Ferguson and Lampard around in a group interview.
Mr. Moshiri will see you now, won't it?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Has anyone ever done one? I never have.
No, never.
No, I've never done that.
Always just been the top candidate. I don't fucking need anyone else.
You just get headhunted, mate. That's what it is. You don't apply for jobs; they apply for you.
That's it. It actually did happen for my last job, to be fair. God knows how. Fucked it basically by putting me in charge. But I think that'd be quite fun actually, because it's almost like if there's only one role. I know a few mates who've done that, and it's very often like you do like a project together, or you do like a certain part of the interview together, and it's like I'm trying to imagine it like related to it's essentially as the apprentice in it. Like you've got to work with them, but you fucking hate them. Like don't be good because I want the job. But I don't know how I'd go about it really. I'd probably find myself being a little bit like snidey.
I reckon the whole thing would be really passive aggressive.
Yeah, defo. That's it.
Dead nice to each other, but like so barbed every comment.
Yeah, that looks great, mate. Honestly, yeah.
I think you get people in the room who'd be like trying to overkill it. So like, you know, when you'd answer a question that the person in there asked you, or you're allowed to have a chat as a group, or come up with some activity as a group, there's always someone who tries to go that little bit too far to act as if they're brilliant at what they do. But then when they do that, you realise that they're just actually a bell end. Do you know what I mean?
I've seen so many middle management people exactly like that.
Yeah.
They're fine. Talk a good...
And the thing is as well, the thing that they'll do in those things, I've done it in work before where we've done like group activities, maybe not interviews, but we've done group activities where someone is just blatantly obviously trying to show off to the boss or whoever's in the room. And you're like, mate, like everyone was due to just sit off all afternoon, get a free day in work and just listen to what they're trying to ask you to do and do the minimal requirements. But someone would be like, come on guys, let's do it this different way. Let's do it. Oh, let's do a little bit more of this. Let's do a little bit more of that. Oh, I remember I did this. And you're like, mate, just chill out, sit down and shut up.
It's almost like it get to the point where like if you in this group interview, I can imagine it now where like Ferguson and Pereira and Lampard are there, and Lampard's probably thinking like, I just can't wait to be out of here and not take this job. And Ferguson's going like, he's so adamant and angry and aggressive that Pereira's actually saying to Moshiri, give it to him. Like, he's great. I promise you. Give it to him. Mashiri's going, should I give it to him? And Ferguson's going, looking at Pereira like
yeah. But I've definitely been, just to compare to what Laura was asking that question, I've been in things where you're in a group activity and somebody tries to show off and it just makes them look like an idiot. You know what I mean? Because everyone else just wants to have a joke and get it. You know, you must have done that, lads. You know what you've been in? Even just a normal meeting, really. Even just any sort of meeting in your job where you get asked a question or like they'll say, does anyone know this? Does anyone know that? And I'll ultimately, being experienced enough now, I'd just sit there saying nothing. And if I had a good idea, I'd send it to the boss after it or something. Do you know what I mean? I would never get myself forward. I'd never jump out of the water in one of those situations. But there's always someone who does that. And like, it makes you hate them, like seriously hate them to the point where you want to burst the time. I'm talking about one specific person here, and I can't say who it is, but I'm thinking, I proper want to burst his tyres. Do you know what I mean? I hope he falls over. Not to the real.
Well, this kind of leads us nicely into the next question. So Mike,
I just need to say though, Les, I don't mean it in a really sinister way, but almost sinister.
just like to break cables. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, I'd love it to piss on his face. You know what I mean? I'd love to piss on them, or like, I'd have a shit in the shoes, and they put the shoes on. Just that level of snide bastard, because they've just been that much of a tit in my life. Do you know what I mean?
Is this the same fella that you went to school with, Dave?
Well, Mike Blakey asked,
no, there'd be two of these bastards.
if you were in the final three to get interviewed for a job, how would you ruin it for the other two? So Dave would piss on one and shit in the other one's shoes.
I'd go far. I mean, I would go far. You know, if it's ultimately something that you wanted, like, as you can, like, in what I do for a living, you know, you do have to have a lot of interviews. You have to, like, make your way through, like, a lot of people who ultimately going to decide whether you've got something or not. And I'm willing to admit I'd be that guy. I'd go as far. I would go as far. Not to the real sinister bit, but the stuff that's just above, just below sinister, I should say. Sorry, before actually like hurting somebody or like doing something to destroy their lives. So I'd do enough to make sure they did not get the job. I'll put it that way.
My first thought was I'd like to do the laxative in the tea thing.
That'd be quite funny.
I'll get the bruising, lads.
Them not being there would be like the funniest thing. Like, how can you not be like directly like stopping them having the best chance at the interview, but like one certain stage of like, oh, you're all in the local area and you're about to get into the office, and somehow you just like burst the tires, or the train is delayed, or you make them late in some way, or you can just make them shit themselves, which would be a really good option as well. So,
I mean, the really easy one is like, you know, if you're picking them up and you're both going to the same place, you know what I mean? You're giving them a lift or whatever. Just don't go to there. Just don't go to the house and drive to it yourself.
Like,
say, oh, mate, completely forgot, but I got it. Should we go for a pint?
Yeah, stick them in the boot. Take them to Bramley Moor.
I don't like this show anymore, Les. I used to love it, but I make myself sound like an absolute tit.
It goes quite quickly, mate.
Yeah, I suppose. And the fans of this show are that sort of level, I think. Not that I'm calling them all tits, but I'm just they know what we're.
This show has no fans, don't worry.
They know our level. They know our level.
Exactly. It's lowest common denominator stuff. This is the best thing about it. Stephen Sheehan has asked, bit of soccer chat again now. On the back of Comoros having a left back in goal and us having no midfield, let's say we play Pickford in centre mid. I was calling for this a while ago, actually, when we had that centre mid crisis. I reckon it'd be good. Against Brentford, what outfield player would you want in goal, Adam?
Is this Everton or any?
Yeah. This is
so. I'll start by going the other way around. Me and me dad were watching City the other day, and we both went like, "This is no joke. Edison would get in our midfield."
Yeah,
like he's technically unbelievable. And I'm trying to think, and I think I saw something on Twitter about when this left back in the African Cup of Nations is playing in goal. Guardiola's going like, they could be onto something there, you know. he's trying to make 11 outfielders like a possibility, you know, like a
false keeper.
Yeah.
You're right. He's that far up. I think he'll actually try that at some point, you know.
From an Everton point of view, can we go past or present? And maybe it's because I've seen him flying around on Twitter. Well, Lassina Traore, I'll probably go for someone like, I don't know, I think there's certain skills and attributes you have to be a goalie, and nowadays it's obviously playing out and being able to. So any outfield player would be decent. Someone who could come and grab like a cross, like corners, or demand like come and control his area type of thing. I don't know. I think Duncan Ferguson's a decent shout. Modern day.
There was always an urban myth, wasn't there? That Rooney himself was meant to like really fancy himself in goal, like in training.
He's one of those lads, though, isn't he? Who you could stick him anywhere and he'd get good.
Yeah. I reckon he'd save a blinder. He'd save a pen for you, him, if he's in goal. Yeah. Jaggy Elker as well. Jaggy Elker was famously in for Sheffield United when Warnock was in charge there. And I remember he played 2007, I think it was. He played Arsenal at home. I was going to say Bramley Moore then. At Sheffield United at home, and he was in goal and saved it. I think he saved some, like, Van Persie in front of him was just like blasting it from all sorts of angles. And Jagielka kept a clean sheet and he won 1-0.
Well, Warnock never put a keeper on the bench, did he?
No, that's it. He had Paddy Kenny. And, like, if he got injured or anything like that, he never used to put one on the bench, did he? He never had a keeper on the bench.
Do you remember when David Burrows went in? I think that was in the Kevin Campbell 1-0 at Anfield when Jeffers and Westerveld got sent off.
That wasn't Burrows. That was...
Who was it?
Steve Staunton, that.
Staunton. Same fella. I'm convinced David Burrows...
Hey, hang on. Burrows... I was going to say, Burrows was your era, mate. Burrows was a little bit before that, like early 90s, really, Burrows.
Yeah, he then inexplicably joined Everton as a mate.
Steve Staunton scored another goal.
See, this is it, right? If people think things are bad now, which they undoubtedly are, 1994, we sold our striker to West Ham and got money and a shit left back.
Was that after Brett Angel? It was, wasn't it?
Brett Angel came in after that.
He spent the money on him.
Fucking hell, yeah. We took
one of the best stories.
Thought, you know what? We'll buy this fella. Awful.
Yeah. One of the best Ian Snowden told me one time was when he got Brett Angel, like, everyone finally found out that he was garbage. Other than playing Stockport when he was decent or something, he come to us with a few million quid and was crap. And then one of his dinner stories he used to tell was that they found out that he had one eye was blind, and he never told anyone for his entire career. And he had one eye that worked. And they were like, everyone was like, oh, that explains it all now, but how on earth he got away with just having one working eye?
Well, I thought he was just dead short-sighted. I knew he was blind as a bat. I didn't realise he was actually in one eye.
Yeah, yeah. Jesus. I don't know why I'm laughing, because that's not a funny thing. But, well, it is funny to think about it, because he made a career of it, but that's that's just so evident that we signed some fella who said he got one eye.
Signed a one-eye striker. Amazing.
Yeah.
Adam, who are you putting in from the current team then?
I'll probably go with, I think Jared Branthwaite would be a decent shout. Big lad.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's technically, I actually think he's probably technically our best centre-half, or will be very quickly.
Yeah.
When he played in that Chelsea game this year,
great, wasn't he?
He was almost Stones-esque, wasn't he? How we can just fizz something into, I don't know, a forward or a midfielder. And however bad our forwards and midfielders are, he seems to find them. So yeah, go with Jared Branthwaite. He's probably 6'3", 6'4". Seems like a calm head on young shoulders, and he's almost got a Pickford look to him as well, actually. So yeah, go for Branthwaite.
Good show. With the height in mind, I'm going to go Rondon. Simply because it means he won't be playing out of goal, or at any point in the team in the opening and the out of 10, because. I mean, he's got to be good at something, hasn't he, that lad? If he's just in the way, that's what I look at him on the lesson. When I see him on the pitch, like when he had his famous game where he was actually decent against Liverpool in the first half of the derby, like he just bullied people, and I was like, that's him. That's his thing. That's your thing in life, mate. Is you're just a bully. Just throw yourself about, and I don't mean a bully as in, because I reckon he's. He'd probably get filled in by anyone who actually wants them to scrap. But I just mean in terms of his size as a footballer, I reckon, like, just scientifically, he's the biggest we have. So throw him in goal. He's going to be in the way at some point, isn't he? Like, he's going to, even if he doesn't try and save it, he's going to hit at some point.
I even think he had trouble just getting in the way of defenders and stuff.
Yeah.
My picks would have been...
like everyone's saying before the game, like, oh, Van Dijk's going to destroy Rondon. Van Dijk's going to destroy Rondon. It's like he'll do well to get Rondon will do well to get near Van Dijk, mate. That's why it's not a problem for you. He's that bad. He won't get near a defender.
You've got to get near him to destroy him.
Yeah.
My picks would have been Mina, because I'd just like to see him lashing himself around the goal.
Yeah.
A bit similar to Rooney. I think Richarlison. I reckon he's one of those players who you can just pick and he'd be dead good.
Yeah.
He'd love it as well, I reckon.
Yeah, it'd be like camera save, wouldn't he? He'd love
all day.
Coming to him, he can just come and catch it, and he'll take a step back and just tip one round the corner and start celebrating it. He's brilliant, by the way.
Did you see that goalie at Marine?
No.
Who's this?
Oh yeah, I did actually. The
Kicking
piss
off.
boiler.
Yeah. When he does the ball's going out for a goal kick, someone has a shot and it's going miles wide, and he just does this dead exaggerated flopping down onto the floor.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Richarlison would defo do that.
100%.
Who are you talking about there, Les?
I'll send you the link, David. It was on Twitter. It was
Fella at Marine.
a keeper at Marine. It was the away goalie. Just
Funes Mori did that as well.
the Marine.
I remember one of his first games. There's a ball just rolling out for a goal kick, and he decided to just run over and try and kick it. Because it was like, he come on for his debut. I think it might have been like for the last 2 minutes in injury time. And obviously, he was just desperate to have a touch. I remember he just ran towards the ball as it was going out and like kicked it out of play. People were like, this fella having a laugh around here, what's going on? And it turns out he was actually shite as well.
Who'd have thought?
Who did it the day when we were playing Villa? Oh, that's Tyrone Mings. Did you see that the other day? He just kicked it out for a corner.
Oh, he was so bad. Oh, yeah, when he tried to pass it back to the goalie.
Yeah, tried to give it back to Martinez, and he just kicked it out for a corner. He's awful. He is. How on earth Gareth Southgate picks him for England is a joke. And the thing is, that's what, I know, again, it's something that we've all undoubtedly spoken about hundreds of times since Big Dunk got the realm. But to play that ball that we were doing all game, just hammering it upfield, that's literally the only and one thing Tyrone Mings is good at. And he must have just been sitting there laughing his head off. Because if you could run behind him, if you could run and keep it on the deck, he's useless.
Yeah.
He can't run. Do you know what I mean? But literally everything we did was like pumping like 40-yard balls up in the air to him.
It was exactly what he wanted, wasn't it? And I'm amazed that I'm not amazed because we were terrible, but first half we did the impossible and had a 0 XG. I don't even know how that is possible.
Does that even work?
I thought you must have at least one penetrative pass that looks like it's going to create a shot. Not even that.
Or even if you pass the ball to the fella who's standing up front.
Yeah.
So they like, but like if he misses it and everyone misses it and leaves it, it rolls into the goal. Surely that'd count as an XG. Do you know what I mean?
We didn't
have one of them.
Outstanding. Last question, Foxy. Rather than goal of the month, what are your top 3 Everton Circus moments of the month for January? And what a month it's been.
Wow, that is some question.
Well, there's enough in this month that could have happened in years, and we'd be still talking about it because it's just been pure chaos.
Yeah, we have got years worth of banter era club stuff here this month.
I'll keep it short and sweet because I'm absolutely dying for a piss, by the way.
Same.
I'll go with, I went down to Norwich and there's a fella running on the pitch after about like 10 minutes and I was so embarrassed. And like he's getting dragged off the pitch, and everyone's going like, "Way!" and I'm going like, "Ugh." So that's probably me one. 2 is also Norwich as well as like they scored the second, and they're all celebrating to us, and then I think the fans turn around to go like, "Well, we just scored against you," and go like, "Whoa!" Like I don't want to look over there, and just start looking at their own fans as well. And I'm not joking, Les. It was the strangest feeling I've ever had in my life where the fans, like, they were too scared to give us shit when they've just gone 2-0 up. They were terrified of the consequences because Everton fans were entering the field to play anyway. So what was stopping them going over there?
Yeah.
That's probably the second one. And the third one is Rondon in 10. That is Rondon. And do you know what? Like, he gets his stick and he's awful. He's not here. He shouldn't be here. The fella is, I feel sorry for him in a way, actually, because he's never acted with anything but a bit of class, if I'm honest. He isn't choosing the team. He isn't the one that's saying, stop playing me. But he was like getting it on the half turn in the Premier League for Everton in the number 10. And I stood there and went, fucking hell. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
He's playing in the hole for Everton.
Benitez playing Rondon as number 10.
Unbelievable, you know. Like I said to my dad, like, is it a 4-4-2 that? And some like fella behind me went, it's a 4-4-1-1, lad. And Calvert-Lewin's not in the 10. And I went like,
no. I thought he was just going to go lump it up 4-4-2. 2 big lads, give him a hard time. And then you saw Rondon drop deep. It was like, so if anyone ever says, is it because Benitez was an ex-Red? No. it was because he did things like play Rondon at number 10.
Like at one point, Les, he was going like shift that way and then like asking for it. I was like, stop it now, stop it, Solomon, stop it. That was
I've got two. I'm not going to do three. I've got two because I know everyone burst into the piss here for some reason. But anyway,
me and Adam have just drank about a litre of water while we were.
Yeah,
I think that's what
it is. Mick Keane against fucking Dan Burn, who's 12 foot tall at Brighton. For some reason decides, he scored for Brighton, didn't he? Goodison, like right on the back stick, and no one, but about 6-7 people in the box, not one of ours goes near him. And I remember the camera going to Michael Keane, and it's just like I felt sorry for him. Not like after fuming about it, I felt sorry looking at his face because it looked like there was pain on his face that he didn't go and mark fucking Dan Burn, who's like Jack and the Beanstalk fella, and he just scores the easiest header. And I was looking at that thinking, this is it. This is the moment that he'll always regret and remember in his life, that he didn't go anywhere near Dan Burn, the Giant. Would have probably been beaten anyway had he gone and marked him at the back stick. But looking at Michael Keane's face and the anguish was just so Everton. Yeah. If Everton's badge was redone again, like the one in 13-14 was, that we all hated, but it was actually the best one we had in the end early because it was the best we've ever done in the league. Then it would be what the face that Michael Keane was doing at that time. And then we won the 27 years campaign. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter. Someone replied to it because obviously the bit where it was, I do it all fuming about it in the end is because he went down to the Liver buildings, didn't he? And everyone thought it was a protest amongst everyone, and people were fuming and didn't get to go down. Someone replied on Twitter saying, "Why is everyone still kicking off on Moise Keane?" Because it was number 27.
Jesus.
You know what a final comedy, however you want to call it, moment is, and it's Michael Keane again for me. Like that, when he just passed it to McAllister for the third against Brighton.
Oh,
and like we saw each other outside the boozer after, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I did like that insane laugh that I've been doing recently, isn't it? And like
the Joker.
Like team news gets released, and I do like it's not even like a sinister laugh. It's almost
maniacal.
Like, oh my! Like they've broken me now again. And he passed it to him, and I was like eating my hand, or I was like, I went out of my mind when that happened because who was it? Someone put like an unbelievable.
Holgate put an unbelievable tackle in, I think.
And then Michael just went, "Where'd that? Go on, mate. Have another." Because we are mudded as the youngsters on
Have another.
So my three were Pereira on telly, because that was just weird. Yeah. Mike Keane was another one, just in general.
What was the first one, sorry?
Pereira on telly.
Pereira?
Yeah, giving his interview on telly.
Oh, that fucking Pereira. I was looking at players. I was thinking of players.
No, but my biggest one is Moshiri breaking up with Jim White live on TalkSport. That was sensational, that.
I can't talk to you anymore, being told off.
Yeah, doing it on TalkSport. Unbelievable.
Jim, I'm not coming on again because I need to deal with the fans. like we're all kids at a park somewhere, vandalised or something like that. I need to go and sort these out, Jim. I'll speak to you again soon.
And that's what it's like. Unbelievable, but very epic.
Did you have another one as well, Les?
No, that was it. That was my three.
Yeah.
You know what though, Les? We've still got a couple of days for the circus to carry on rolling through town.
We have, and I'm sure it will. It's going to be like, Everton's just like one of those clown cars where the door falls off and the bonnet flips. Yeah. 100%.
Transfer window on Monday as well, mate. Oh my God. It's going to be absolutely hilarious with who's linked here.
We will see what the...
Brett Ormelard's going to show up.
Brett Angel will show up.
Brett Angel will show up.
The transfer window throws up. Hopefully, we will have a manager in by then. That's it from Mailbag this week. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Adam. Thanks to everyone who sent questions in. We'll catch you next week.